Welcome to WrestleCast. This is episode 5, and I will thank you for joining me on this journey with my thoughts and opinions on the wrestling business. So I'm going to start off with, who do you think is the best Cruiserweight wrestler ever? Now, a lot of people would think you would go with the usual Rey Mysterio, maybe a Psychosis, but I think when I think of the best Cruiserweight ever, there's two wrestlers that come to my mind, but I'm just going to go with the Ultimo Dragon. Ultimo Dragon was a cross blend of different styles. Like, he could go and do your high-flying stuff, but then he can go do power wrestling, he can do submission wrestling, he can do technical wrestling. It's hard to disagree with a man who at one point held 8 of the best Cruiserweight titles from around the world. A man who, when he went to WWE, was underutilized, but he started the Dragon Gate promotion. He's been a star in Japan, Mexico, the United States, Canada, Europe. Ultimo Dragon is one of the best Cruiserweights I've ever seen. He's had great matches with Psychosis, Eddie Guerrero, Chavo Guerrero, Jushin Thunder Liger, the Great Muta, Juventud Guerrera. Dean Malenko at Starrcade one year was really good with him. And for him to really get over, and then for him to translate by training new wrestlers for Dragon Gate USA, he even had a part in fighting Johnny Gargano, who was one of the best wrestlers as well. But Ultimo Dragon exemplified what it was, and you can see when I watch Daniel Bryan do those stiff kicks, those hard, quick, rapid-fire kicks, it reminds me of Ultimo. When Kalisto does Salida del Sol, you cannot think of anything but the Asai DDT, Ultimo Dragon's move. Whenever you see anybody do a Dragon Sleeper, it reminds me of the Ultimo Dragon. Ultimo Dragon was really good, had different color outfits, and was just classic. When I think of a classic good wrestler, it would be Ultimo Dragon. And to me, he's one of the best Cruiserweights I've ever seen, one of the best Cruiserweights of the world, and I think it would have been really cool if he would have been in the Cruiserweight Classic. Now, speaking of the Cruiserweight Classic, we're going to segue, because this Wednesday night on the WWE Network at 9 o'clock Eastern is the first round of the Cruiserweight Classic. Now, when I think of the Cruiserweight Classic, there's two people that I think that I'm going to pick as people I would like to win it. One will be a Washington-owned Brian Kendrick. Because for those of you that think of Brian Kendrick as just what he was when he was in WWE, he's metamorphosized into something completely different. Submission wrestling, more strikes. Look at Brian Kendrick, and he has had a very successful career, but he also has had detriments in his attitude over the years, and that's what kind of killed him in spots. Now, if you remember, Brian Kendrick was Cruiserweight champion, Tag Team champion, X Division champion. He had one hell of a match with Roderick Strong for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship a couple months ago. But Brian Kendrick is great. Now, on the other hand, this guy, I've been watching him for years on the internet, and whether it's Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, whether it's over in the UK, whether it's in Japan, Zack Sabre Jr. is by far on a different plane. Like, he's not just high flying, he's one of the best technical wrestlers I've ever seen. I recently saw him on YouTube. It was a match between him and Kurt Angle, and he went toe-to-toe with Kurt. And for somebody to go toe-to-toe with Kurt Angle exemplifies like how great of an athlete Zack Sabre Jr. is. I've seen Zack have good matches with Finn Balor. I've seen him have good matches with Chris Hero. I've been watching it for a long time. And for someone who's 190 pounds, he is spot on. Perfect. And I really think that Zack Sabre Jr., but there's other people in the tournament that could be good. But I hope Zack wins it because he deserves it. He deserves him and Kendrick, really, one of those two, I think would be really cool to win the tournament. And then there's, last week, somebody interviewed CM Punk because Brock Lesnar was going to wrestle at UFC 200. And no, I'm not going to talk about that because I do not watch MMA and I'm not going to talk about MMA. So CM Punk was asked, would he ever return to the WWE or professional wrestling? CM Punk's words were, to WWE, oh hell no, he would never return. And I know why. There's a lot of bridges that got burned. He felt like he was disrespected. He felt like he was shit on. But then you go to pro wrestling. He said, yeah, he Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, he would show up. Would I love to see Punk in the ring again? Yes, I would. I wish him and WWE could mend the fences, but I know why. It's just, it's common sense. He's still burnt. I think maybe in a couple years Punk might change his tune. Another news that came out this week is Jushin Thunder Liger has been added to join the likes of Chris Hero, Adam Cole, Tommy End, Trevor Lee. And he will be in the Battle of Los Angeles. He will be in the Battle of LA. He will wrestle. And he will... Battle of Los Angeles will happen in August. It's a 2-day tournament to see who the best of 2016 is. Would it be cool if Cody won? Yeah, it'd be really cool. But you could see some good matchups. Maybe I'll finally be able to see. But another thing is, it was also announced that Cody Rhodes is going to wrestle Chris Hero at Evolve the weekend of SummerSlam, which is ginormous. That's awesome. That's a match that I'd want to see. The Evolve shows, I always want to watch them because they're bad fucking ass. Alright, next I want to talk about the best WCW champions, because this month was an anniversary. But who are the best WCW champions? Now, a lot of people could make claim that Ric Flair could be one of them, but I'm not. Ric Flair's title reigns were very short. They didn't really mean a lot. It was just him holding the belt. Now, if we were talking about the NWA World Heavyweight Champions, even though I don't like Ric Flair, I would have to put Flair in that category. For the best, I would have to put Vader would be in that list, because Vader was a freaking beast when he was in that ring. He attacked everybody. Sting as well. Sting was the glue for WCW, but when his title reigns, they meant something. They weren't just, aside from 1998 when he won the world title, his title reigns weren't short. They meant something. And he really tried to elevate the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Booker T really exemplified a great World Heavyweight Champion for WCW, as did Randy Savage. Hogan, I don't know if Hogan was good for the belt, but he really made it where it was a chase for the gold. Chase to be champion. You can't discount Ron Simmons is the first black World Heavyweight Champion ever. It's something that you could never take away from Ron Simmons. But I will stick with it that I think Sting was the best World Heavyweight Champion that WCW had. He was energetic. There was even a time where he was a heel. But it's just, Sting was a great world champion for World Championship Wrestling. Now, I said I'd talk about anniversaries. The NWO. At Bash of the Beach in 1996, I had to be like 10 years old. And this was such a big deal. Because at that time, Hogan was overlooked and talked about as he was one of the best. Goody two-shoes, never does anything wrong. And he joined Hall & Nash. And this symbol became synonymous with wrestling, with the New World Order. And Hogan, Hall & Nash, the NWO. It was the beginning of it. And the NWO was like, that was a huge thing because Hogan turned his back on Savage, Luger, and Sting, these three icons. And he was the world heavyweight. He would go on to be the world champion. NWO would become the hottest thing that WCW ever did. Ever. I dare say he was hotter than the Horsemen. But that's just the way it was. The NWO was bigger than life itself. And he was a big star. NWO was really good, but I don't think NWO would have been as successful if Hall and Nash weren't a part of it. Because people knew Razor Ramon and Diesel, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. They really pushed the buttons. And I think Scott Hall had so much to do with the NWO because he was a perfect mouthpiece. Scott Hall made people hate him. And that's why I think the NWO was so successful. And now we're kind of going to switch gears. Now, over the past 8 years, there's been a rivalry on YouTube between Jim Cornette and Vince Russo. And Cornette keeps pushing buttons. He keeps making all these accusations about Vince Russo. Well, Vince Russo recently came out on the Kenny Bolin podcast and said that a lot of these things are not true. He did not sabotage TNA. He does not take credit for the Attitude Era. But then Jim Cornette will say stuff. Russo will say stuff. But where are you? Now, I've watched the shoot interviews for both Jim Cornette and Vince Russo. I've read up on a lot of it. Some people like Vince Russo, some people don't. Some people like Jim Cornette, some people don't. I don't know if I take Jim Cornette, everything he says, to truth, because Jim Cornette is very critical if you listen to his stuff where he talks about Lucha Underground or where he talks about hardcore wrestling. He's very old school, and Vince Russo had a lot of new school ideas that could have rubbed him the wrong way. And I don't know who is the right person, Cornette or Russo, but I'm sure it's something that could be brought back. It's something that you don't know who's telling it. So I would tell anybody who watched this show that you need to watch both interviews and you decide. You make up your mind on who's the good one, who's the bad one. For that, we're going to talk about the draft. Now, the WWE Draft is coming back. They have not had a draft in a very, very long time. And they even changed the name of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship to the WWE Championship. So what I'm saying is the draft can help people. I remember the first draft they ever did, they put Triple H was on one brand, and then Brock Lesnar was on one brand. But what happened was Triple H got traded to Raw, and he ended up becoming very, very successful, while Lesnar became successful on SmackDown. The APA got broken up because of the draft in 2004. What happened was Farouk kind of fizzled into obscurity, and JBL got a run as the WWE Champion. It made people like Edge, Dolph Ziggler, John Cena a star. It gave Eddie Guerrero a world title run. If it wasn't for the draft, there would be no Rey Mysterio as World Heavyweight Champion that they did. The draft really can change things. I remember a time where it was a big deal when John Cena was the #1 draft pick in 2005, and he went to Raw after being on SmackDown. He was a homegrown SmackDown star, and he was on Raw. So anything can happen, and I think what it could do is take somebody like Big Cass, who there's rumors that Vince is building towards a Big Cass Brock Lesnar match. You could push somebody to the moon with the draft. You could have 2 world titles. You could have the IC title on one brand, the US title on the other. You don't know where they're going to go with the draft. And hell, you could bring up NXT stars, and you could create new feuds, new rivalries. It's a shot in the arm that WWE needs. Evolve, make it different, make it better, and you could really upgrade the talent. But one thing that they should really do is make it an opportunity to push certain people. Now, we all know that whoever wins a Battleground is going to be on one brand. I think one thing they will do is they're going to put Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn on different rosters, and then later on, one of them can be drafted to the other brand, and they can continue their feud. So the draft can bring up so many options, so many things that you can do. Now, if it things like I'm kind of rushing, because I wanted to go over the Battleground card. Now, first off, these are only the matches that have been announced. You have the Club versus John Cena, Enzo Amore, and Big Cass. What it is, I think, is Cena is giving a rub to Enzo and Cass, which is really good because it could really help them out. And the Club having another match on pay-per-view continue really well. The Club's been doing really well lately. I think that should be really good. I really hope the Club goes over in this one, as much as I love Enzo and Cass. Natalya versus Becky Lynch, I couldn't give a shit about. It seems like a filler match. Doesn't seem that good. I think the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn match could steal the show. It's going to be really good. I know it's going to be a good match. I'm really excited for it. But one thing is the main event. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose. You have Rollins is really good in that ring. Ambrose is really good. What state of mind? What are they going to do with Roman when he returns? Is he going to be a monster heel? Is he going to be a dick? Is he going to be apologetic? What is he going to do? What different way are they going to put Roman in to make it something unique and something different? Because since Roman fucked up, you can't keep doing the same shit. The perfect thing would be to turn him heel. But the thing is, will they give Roman back the championship at Battleground, or will Ambrose hold on to the title? I think it'd be good to have all 3 of the Shield people stay on the same brand, continue their feud, because I don't think this is a match you can go one and done. That's my opinion. The Battleground card isn't that good. It could be better if you put the New Day and the Wyatts on that card. Or if, I don't know, fucking The Miz defends the Intercontinental Championship. That could be good. But you don't know where they're going. It looks like maybe Zack Ryder will get a shot at the U.S. title at Battleground, I'm assuming. You really don't know what they're going to do, which direction they're going to go in different ways. But we will see. So this has been WrestleCast. This has been episode 5. And I will see you next week.